Hey everyone, my name is Mark Dadigan and I'm a PhD candidate in Native American Studies and I'm going to be your instructor for your summer session one class, Native, Native California and Public History. Sorry to be sharing this from the airport, but I just have a busy schedule the week before class. I'm a non-native of Armenian and Polish descent who's worked with indigenous communities and tribes in Northern California for about 15 years. And I'll talk a little bit about that issue of being a white guy working with tribes and writing about their histories. Even though it's in collaboration, it brings up a lot of ethical issues, right? But anyway, I really welcoming you to this class. We're going to be really engaging with this idea of public history, which I'm defining as narratives that give the general public a meaningful encounter with the past outside the confines of the classroom or reading a heavy textbook at home or history book at home. And this can include museum exhibits, memorials, and monuments, signs at historical sites like at state parks or even U.S. forest campgrounds sometimes. I kind of define it more broadly. I'm also thinking of it in terms of being journalism, historical reenactments. It can be theater, plays, even documentaries and podcasts. And the reason I was inspired to organize this class is because of public testimonies. I began my career as a journalist and covering indigenous environmental movements in Northern California for 15 years. And one thing I learned very quickly is it was very hard to explain the tribe's struggles, the tribe's point of views, the tribe's motives, and what they were seeking in their engagement with government and with developers. It was hard to explain that without really going into the history of colonization, how Native people used to live in the land and how they were removed, severed, and oppressed in a lot of ways, this process of colonization. And it's very complex history. It's very difficult for people who are unfamiliar with it to grasp. It can also really undermine some of the dominant narratives we have about California and the United States. Um, and so I also realize that Native people who are activists often are working as public historians. They're going to these meetings, trying to educate agencies, developers, and the public about their history in these places and their history fighting to maintain their traditional ways of life, cultures, intelligences, knowledges that don't always fit well with a Western-style government that's so focused on capitalism, right? And so that's what we're going to be doing in this class is really engaging with how history is made, how history has been hidden from view from us in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to Native people, and why it's so important to Native peoples in California to correct the historical record and to really center their perspectives and their memories. And I would argue when we learn about history from their perspective, we also get a much better idea of how we are going to move forward as a collective society, as collective humanity, working together to solve some of our biggest problems. Um, and so with that, I'll just say that you're going to get a chance to practice being a public historian with your final project. And I really want to focus on back to basic stuff, your reading skills, your note-taking skills, researching skills, um, drafting, writing skills. And so I'm not going to give you a lot of assignments. It's really going to be that are, I consider busy work. It's really going to be about making sure you are critically thinking about the course materials and then practicing those skills to culminate in your final project. And so, my goal is I want everyone to be successful and engaged. I'm kind of still learning how to be a historian myself, so I would say I'm a co-learner in this process with you. And I just really want us to have an open dialogue about how the class is going, what else I can do to support you so you are successful. So with that, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 23rd. And again, I apologize for the background noise, and I'll get to know you soon.